Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Markets up today. Apple up over 1%. Q's up about 50 basis points. DXY down 0.5%. So a lot of interesting moves across the board. Excited to go over and discuss. Monte, good morning. Good morning to our viewers as well in the chat. Hello, Phoenix, Ryan, Ross. Sell me your assets. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. But yeah, Monte, how are things going? How you feeling here to start the day?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. The charts look very bullish. I had a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin and crypto in general. I mean, that's to be expected after a day like yesterday, but looking like we may continue today.
Nikkei and Hang Seng were pumping last night, and Nasdaq, and no one bid Bitcoin, which was interesting to me.
I think it just maybe gives more credence to the fact that that move yesterday was largely due to the Grayscale news. So I think, but we also did see some stocks pump as well, right? Like names like Tesla had a really good day yesterday. And some other risk-on assets on the S&P or on the Nasdaq as well had a really good day. So it wasn't just Bitcoin. So that was interesting. It was like a combination of the two. We had the Nasdaq performing well, and also the positive catalyst of the Grayscale news. Both of those in conjunction results in the price action we got yesterday. Now, will that continue today with only positive price action from the equity markets? It's tough to say. But we'll dive into it and we'll discuss it. Anything you want to start with?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go over? It looks like you have like S&P. Why don't you bring over the majors? Because I have a little bit more esoteric stuff. But let's cover.
Oh boy, that ought to be good.
Esoteric. I should have just said niche. Now it's gonna be like penny stocks or something. What do we got with the Nasdaq?
Yeah, so Nasdaq looking strongly like a bull today. And one thing that a lot of people have been mentioning is this gap up here. And
that's so funny. My friend Jordan sent that to me yesterday. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm saying the same things as Jordan. It doesn't put me in good company. No offense if you're watching, Jordan. But anyways, I like to move up to this level at the very least, up to about 15.7. I think that we could see that very easily by plausibly, end of day or even or at the latest tomorrow, and then maybe a bit of profit taking. But ultimately, this will be where the big test occurs. Right now, I think it's just basically a green light until we get to this level. So I think we got to be risk on. That being said, we are seeing slight underperformance from the Nasdaq to the S&P. However, as the day goes on, look at this, it's catching up. It's playing a game of catch up. It's very, very close. So, whenever you see the Nasdaq outperforming the S&P, it means people are risk on and they're trading, things that are, like the crypto related equities. But if you see the S&P outperforming the Nasdaq, then it's typically more risk off behavior. And today they're both looking pretty strong. So it's tough to say. However, I do think at the end of the day, the Nasdaq will end up higher than or end up with a better daily candle than the S&P, and we will plausibly see some continuation up into this 15.7 level here. So that's what I'm looking for in the NASDAQ. And if just real quickly to look at some of the big names, I mean, they all are kind of finding support. And after yesterday's bullish engulfing candle, looking for some continuation. Apple looks really nice today and looks set to fill that gap. I would be cautious though, because a lot of people eyeing this gap. That makes it a bit of a crowded trade. Nonetheless, I do still think that Apple will get back up to 190. It's just going to be a matter of timing. I don't think it'll be as fast as a lot of people think. I think it might take a week or two before we're back up at those levels. Just because everyone's going to be trying to, predict this gap fill. Nonetheless, still looks strong. Same thing with Amazon, bullish engulfing candle. We had this nice looking formation here, and I like it back up to the previous all-time highs. Nvidia continuing to chug higher. I mean, this thing is approaching 500 again, which is absolutely absurd. And then you have Google, which is at a 52-week high or nearing a 52-week high that it hit yesterday, and looking like it can continue to grind higher. So for me, I think the NASDAQ is where the money is going to be flowing, because people are really starting to kind of go risk on. It feels like yesterday seemed like maybe that flipping point that we've been talking about for quite a while, where the bears have to capitulate and be like, and the fund managers need to take their sideline capital and inject it into the market and be like, all right, we need to start making some money to the upside or we're out of a job. And that's also, I think, reflected in the TNX being down today as well. So yeah, overall, if you're a bull, I think today is looking pretty good. Good day to be a bull. So, but CJ, would love to get your thoughts. And
I wasn't even a bear, and I still got bear trapped.
That could happen. I mean, bear traps trap anything that steps on them. Doesn't have to be a bear. You just happen to be in there.
just anyone without a brain can wander in. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Anyone without a brain wandering around in the woods, just wandering. Yeah, you might wander into a trap or two. Yeah, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, actually, I'd like to move on, but
okay. Move on. Yeah, move on to what'd you refer to it as? Not niche.
Well, I talked about it being. I said I thought it was a bear trap in my report last week, but it's hard to argue with that price action that we got on Jackson Hole. But looks like the Tom Lee camp has ended up being right here, and we're having a positive week of price action following a negative week leading up to Jackson Hole. So just kind of interesting there. DXY worth talking about, I think, really coming off. You also see that move reflected in rates as well. Things like the 10-year, as well as the 5-year. Not as big of a short squeeze as I thought, considering, we got the DXY, but it's not nothing. It's not nothing. Gold's performed well. So, that kind of makes sense with the inverse dollar thing going on. I do think it could be time for a short in heating oil, and I will look to short this one on a red close today. I think that this is one of the things that you could potentially see, go down like 20% over the next 4 months, if this is the top. And technically, it just does look very good in terms of a short setup, and it's been one of the crowdest things for quite a long time. So still been looking at that one. Sugar looks good in the sense that, let's see the longer term chart. You see this in a lot of the other softs, though. They're just continuing to make all-time highs.
Yeah.
That's the continuous. The front month looks a little bit better. Or the October. Like, that's pretty bullish.
Looks really good.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe we hit 30, maybe 28. Look for those levels if we get a breakout. But just kind of continuing to play that one. And the reason why I picked sugar has to do with positioning. So just to go over some stuff. A lot of accumulation back in these days from commercials, and then last Friday is when we got the 100 print. So to me, that's like, all right, start looking for accumulation specifically from commercials that could potentially drive us higher. I think trend following is one of the best things to do in markets. However, it has to be a non-crowded market. And this is a great example of a market where the vast majority of speculators are still trying to short, yet price is going higher. So I like that contrarian play, and any opportunity to do some trend following in some non-crowded markets, I think is quite interesting. I had to buy a little coin yesterday just because I, long term, put it away. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore, given the last week. But yeah, we'll see. What do you think, Monte, in terms of the crypto equities and maybe anything else we discussed there short term?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because I mean, Mar was up at 1.30% yesterday, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, we've said it time and time again, like they are high beta altcoins that are traded on the NASDAQ. That's what they are. And looking at those stocks today, sorry if the sirens are loud in the background. But looking at these stocks today, it seems like we're seeing a bit of indecision. And that's natural after a day like yesterday. Like it's really tough to come in and buy without an imminent catalyst. However, what I will say is that Friday with the SEC ruling, that could plausibly be another big catalyst. And CJ, this is something you said before the show, but after Friday, it might be too late to chase some of these big names, right? Like if we get positive news from the SEC on Friday, we could see parabolic price action, something like along the lines of this, where it's like you really don't get a chance to get back in without getting like chopped up and before moving higher. So it's like we're at that point now where the crypto related equities don't really have much of a catalyst in the sense that Bitcoin is kind of pulling back. People are taking profit after yesterday's move. So I think we're going to see a bit of consolidation here in most of these major names. However, Coinbase does still look strong and is still, it seems to be the main bastion for exposure for people that want exposure to Bitcoin without actually buying Bitcoin. This still seems like the number one option. And as a result, I think it's benefiting today from some positive price action. But this is maybe the only one I would consider getting long. So CJ, I know you mentioned that you entered yesterday. I don't hate that. I think that this could continue to grind up.
I aped yesterday. Like it did not feel good buying it. But like, look, there's probably 10% to 20% chance, maybe not even, that the ETF is approved. And as Monty said, you won't be able to chase after that. And everyone expects it to not be approved. So, maybe we get a little bit of sell off or even like buying opportunity into that.
Yeah,
but if equities remain strong here, there's no reason why Bitcoin has to be, destroyed. It's August, I think, was a bad enough month already for a lot of this stuff. And, I think it goes back to the classic idea of when you look at a lot of the historic time series of Bitcoin and overlay the S&P, a lot of times Bitcoin doesn't start really going parabolic till the S&P goes to new all-time highs. I think the new all-time highs within the S&P sends that signal to the collective retail and fund managers to start taking more risk. Therefore, they go down the totem pole to things like Bitcoin. So maybe that happens. And I think we're still a little early. Like even if you're flat, I don't, or I should say, even if I was flat, like I think there's still plenty of opportunity in the next, coming years. But Monty, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Everyone is banking on the SEC ruling unfavorably on Friday, right? So that might present a good buying opportunity because I think if we retrace this entire move, I'd be looking to buy. This level of below 26K, we have seen such strong demand, like unprecedentedly strong demand. And I think that if we do pull back to those levels, I'd really be doing what you did with Coinbase yesterday. I'd be aping in, because I think that, around these levels of 26K, below that, there's just so much buy pressure. And I think we'll continue to see buy pressure just on the back of the fact that, like CJ said, the S&P and the NASDAQ both look great. So it's like, okay, the SEC didn't rule in our favor. That's just another day in crypto. Now let's move along and keep trading, equities. And you're absolutely right. When the equity markets make new all-time highs, that's when you start to see fund managers take more risk and look at things like Coin, Mar, Riot, and ultimately that trickles down into Bitcoin. So I think that if we do get new all-time highs in the NASDAQ and S&P, that in itself could be more than enough to be the catalyst to drive Bitcoin back up to like the 30K level. I truly believe that. I don't think we need an ETF catalyst necessarily for that positive price action to occur. It would definitely help, but I don't think we need it, because right now equities look really good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Can you one last chart that I just wanted to mention? I shared this with members of our Discord yesterday, but could you pull up soybean oil?
I
know it's kind of a lame one
bean
to end
oil.
on.
Let's take a look. Yeah, it's breaking out.
Not quite breaking out yet. So I talked about this one with some members of our Discord yesterday. This is the soybean oil futures contracts. And, there's a clearly defined breakout level, which is what I look for when I'm looking to trade to the upside. It has a sort of, if you zoom in a little bit, a cup and handle formation kind of forming there with this recent price action. And I think this third retest of the local highs here is going to be the breakout. So you can, if you're a more risk on trader, enter now and put your stops like below 62.20 or right there. But I mean, look at how you have that supply absorption, run back up to the highs, sell off, and now a slower grind back up to the highs. That to me tells me that if we get to that level, there's a good chance that we could see some breakout type price action comparable to what we saw in June, where it was kind of like up only, like parabolic price action. Or yeah, that was June, right? Yeah, like that. I think if we do get above that level, it's plausible that we see just continued upside price action for ZL. So that's one trade that I'm in. It's one that I shared with members of the Discord yesterday. Had a nice in-depth discussion with some of our members about it. But I really like this setup. What do you think of it, though? I would love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So, yeah, this movement was a tremendous short squeeze earlier the past couple months, and it is, still in an uptrend. But yeah, let me like, the reason I wouldn't take this trade personally is just because the COT is already showing that there's a lot of longs, and you have a lot of like retail longs as well, kind of stacking up at these levels. So in terms of like the system that I would follow in terms to like trade these futures, I'd actually probably looking to short like a breakdown. It doesn't mean that this trend following can't continue or it can't work. I just think that if we have a down day or if we have negative price action, it's probably going to be greater to the downside than potentially to the upside. So, I mean, that's just what I would, based on like the system of COT
Can I pose
what
a
I would
question
do.
to you? Just about your trading methodology. I know you really like to use COT data, look at how traders are positioned, and kind of take on a contrarian perspective. But at what point does the retail trader become right? Like, is there a point in time you think that the retail trader is right? Typically, when we're entering markets that are like entering new all time highs, like the Nasdaq and the S&P, that's easy money, and retail longs aren't necessarily wrong by longing the market here. Do you agree with that premise, or do you think all retail longs are just bad? If you,
I mean, they don't make up that much of the market. They're just kind of a reflection of sentiment. They don't make up that much capital. But yeah, I mean, retail was right at like, yeah, the COT data, it's not perfect. Like there are times where
I
it's
mean,
obviously never going to work, but like, yeah, after COVID, like there was an instance where retail was right and large speculators were shorting, and retail was actually the ones who were making money, and large speculator shorts were losing. So, that can happen. It's just something like, I wouldn't, like if I were to take that trade 100 or 1,000 times, like over time, I would want to be doing the opposite of the large specs and retail. But they can be right. Even the best fades have periods where they are right, because like a broken clock is right twice a day. Sorry to the retail trader. I mean, I am one, so it's making fun of myself, I guess. But
yeah, yeah. It's, I mean, think about like 2021. Retail was right all the way through because they're just long. And
we did all think it was going to go to 100K, but
well, I was talking more about equities, but yeah. I mean, Bitcoin to an extent as well. But anyways, man, volatility, Nasdaq pulling back, S&P pulling back. They're now almost flat on the day. Not great for our beloved Bitcoin. So we'll see what's up. But that's all I got for today, CJ. Anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
yeah, just don't forget if you guys would like to hang out in our Discord community, see our trade setups and insights, as well as get a free trial to our sentiment indicators, please check out tradethechain.com for a 14-day free trial. Also, please like and subscribe. That helps the channel quite a bit. Thank you guys. Always love the participation. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a profitable rest of your week. We'll see you back here same time tomorrow. Take it easy.